Phil. Hey guys, how you doing? Long Beach Comic-Con. My name is Michelle Morrow. I'm going to be the host and moderator for today. This is our panel. We've got a bunch of performers here that are going to discuss how they bring video game characters to life through voice and motion capture. And for me, as a gamer, some of you may recognize me from BlizzCon. I'm the host of BlizzCon Virtual Ticket. And I've got to do a lot of really cool things in the gaming industry, and hosting this panel is one of them. I think, though, I will let the panelists all introduce themselves, and please tell me your top 3 credits. Who wants to start?
Yes.
Let's go down the line. Phil, you're first.
My name's Phil LaMarr. I am an actor of face and voice. I have played Vamp in Metal Gear Solid 2 and 4. John in Infamous, and Infamous 2. And Ratbag in Shadow of Mordor.
Ratbag is Walty! I'm Thom Williams. Thank you. I'm a stunt coordinator and motion capture performer. I did Halo 4. I played a lot of the elites and some of the Spartans in Halo along with coordinating it. Halo 5, and also Shadow of Mordor, where I got to hang Phil from the ceiling and beat up Troy a lot.
Hey, I'm America Young. I do stunts and motion capture, and thank you. Most recently, I worked on Halo 5, and I'm not allowed to say which character yet. Nope. But I worked on Halo 5, and then I did all the female motion capture for, most recently, Sunset Overdrive and Evolve.
Hi there, my name is Crispin Freeman. My most recent video game work has been Vindicator Maraud in World of Warcraft. I played Firefly in the Arkham City franchise stuff. And I'm currently voicing my favorite gorilla, Winston, in Overwatch.
Yeah!
That should be coming out soon.
Hi, I'm Liam Obrien. Let's see, you may have heard me doing Gollum in Shadow of Mordor. I'm pretty well known as Illidan Stormrage from World of Warcraft. Little known fact, they also scanned my body for his on-screen appearance. What else? I don't know. Other things. Vax. Yeah, I play D&D live every week, that's right!
We got some critters in the house.
It's a little off topic, but yes. Who are you?
That's all real, that's not acting. My name is Troy Baker, and you might know me as Soldier A. Any Last of Us fans? Cool. I was Joel in The Last of Us, Booker in BioShock Infinite.
Oh, yeah.
I see a snake over there. I just played Ocelot in Metal Gear Solid 5, so that's pretty rad. Thank you.
These are some gorgeous panelists. I'm really excited about this. These guys are all gamers themselves. Everybody plays games here, and an hour goes by real quick, and all these guys can talk. We know that. So what we're gonna do is have a few rapid-fire questions at first. So I'm just gonna have you guys do some questions, and we're gonna have maybe just shorter answers for it, because what we really want to do is open this up to the fans. This is about you guys, and we want you guys to be able to ask about your favorite performances in your favorite video games. So let's start it off. We'll go down the line. Phil, you don't have to start first. I'll make Troy start. All right, so as a fan of the games yourself, which game were you most geeked out about to book?
God, why did you pick me first?
Because you were late.
I freaked out over The Last of Us because it was finally going to be in a Naughty Dog game. I freaked out over Uncharted 4 because it was going to be in a Naughty Dog game with Nolan North. I freaked out over Metal Gear Solid because of Ocelot, because there's an Ocelot in every Metal Gear, and he's pretty good. I don't know. I freak out every time I get a job. I don't know. Can't believe people hire me. Liam, go.
We're all doing it. We're Gollum. Gollum. I've been obsessed with Gollum since I was 15 years old. I was copying the cartoon that came out when we were kids, and then I started copying what they did in the movies recently with Circus's great performance, and thought, oh, I got a great parlor trick. And now it's an ongoing gig. I freaked out when I got War and Darksiders because I love Joe Mad's comic book style and had no idea what I was walking into, and he was just in the room for this random gig I got. And I'm like, there you go.
I think the one that I consciously freaked out about was the male wizard in Diablo 3 because I had played the sorceress in Diablo 2 until people made fun of me. And so when they cast me as the wizard in Diablo 3, I was like, yeah, typecasting, of course. I'm the sorceress. Of course I'm the wizard. But I think most recently, the one which totally blindsided me was Overwatch. I knew I was playing this gorilla in this new game, and then when I saw the cinematic trailer for Overwatch, I just lost it. And I can't stop watching that trailer, and I like choke up every time I watch it. I can't believe how cool it is and that I get to play this crazy gorilla dude. So yeah.
For me, it was Halo. Been a huge fan of the game for a long time. And then also, more than anything, more than titles, it's characters I've gotten to play. So, gotten to play Mystique and Emma Frost, which I loved.
Yes. It is being an orc with you. No? What's my favorite? Tell me. I get hit in the head a lot. I like Halo.
Tell him, Troy, what is it?
Tell me, which one?
You have to fight someone really important that's a really good fighter.
Jackie Chan?
There you go.
That's not a video game. Yes, I fought Jackie Chan. That was awesome.
Did you win?
Yes, that's amazing.
I get paid to lose. I wouldn't lose for real. I get paid to lose. Remember that.
Without a doubt, it was Vamp in Metal Gear 2. Because I had played Metal Gear Solid and was just geeked about the game. I begged to audition. Like, I think I went in just like to audition for the DARPA chief or something. They've got me here. You know, and then they said, well, why don't you try this character? It's like, he's vaguely European, he may or may not be a vampire, he's kind of ambisexual, no distinct European accent, but from somewhere far away. Go.
All right, this is awesome. And because this is about performance, what's your favorite performance by someone else in a video game? Troy, you're first.
Kids Table sucks. You guys know, you're gamers. There's a lot to choose from. I will have to say that watching Liam not emulate someone else's performance, but actually bring a character that we all know, whether it be from the books, whether it be from the movies or whatever, but actually watching him physically change into Gollum was mind-blowing. And everybody on the shoot from Monolith and Warner Brothers, no one ever said, I wish we had gotten Andy Serkis. Everyone said, I can't believe we got Liam O'Brien. And that's someone who, yeah, absolutely. And you don't understand, we all do different kinds of jobs where we have to reach into our toolkit and pull out a hammer or an axe or whatever. And he pulled out everything because he was dripping with sweat by the end of the day. And we're not young men anymore. So to watch this guy like, oh, that's okay, it's broken, it's my leg. To watch this guy parkour around, you know, and then just get done and be like, okay, I'm gonna go back in my car and read comic books, was incredible. So you're one of my favorite performances. Now do me.
It's very, very hard not to, but I'm not. You're easy, and you're easy. I will not say you just because you're sitting right next to me, and I'm riddled with guilt. I'll say because she's not here, I'll say Ashley Johnson. Ashley, just as a person, has one of the most unique spirits I've ever encountered in my life, and they just bottled that and put it into The Last of Us, and it's the most disarming, charming, unique performance I think I've ever seen in a game, and that holds my top spot. You're okay too.
It's hard for me to decide like what's the ultimate one, but I will tell you right now that the one that I can't get out of my head is from Overwatch with Tracer. The woman who plays Tracer in Overwatch, I can't wait to finally meet her in person because we play all these scenes together constantly. And we're working on some stuff, and whenever I hear her voice, I literally choke up in the booth. Like I have to be like, can you wait a second? Because I'm not being Winston right now. I'm sort of just freaking out over Tracer. Okay, all right, I'm back. All right, now I'm Winston. Okay, let's do this. You know, so yeah, it would probably be Tracer right now from Overwatch.
One of the first times I ever really truly became aware of the next level of voiceover acting in video games for me was FemShep by Jennifer Hale. And that just kind of woke me up. I had always been aware of voiceover and thought it was an incredible acting skill, but that was the first time when the voice just came alive in a whole nother dimension for me.
Hey, Tom, you're up.
Mine's probably Laura Bailey.
Laura.
I'll tell you a quick little story. Who played Shadow of Mordor? So the scene where the family gets killed in front of Troy. I was the orc holding Laura, and it was so hard to watch. She was going crazy when they killed her son, and Troy and her looking and screaming at each other. And it's the one time I've ever been broken down on set. She had me in tears with her performance. So if you haven't seen that or played that, she really made it for me.
That's one of the most beautiful scenes, personally, I think, in a video game ever. So I agree with you. Okay, Phil, your turn.
I gotta go with Kevin Conroy. Batman in the Arkham games. Just because it's one thing to do it in traditional animation, in a traditional story, but for him to be able to convey that level of emotion in a new form. I mean, that voice. I mean, the voice is one thing, but just the fact that he is able to perform it on so many levels, simultaneously, is, and it is, to me, the quintessential Batman.
Absolutely. Just so you guys know, we are going to be opening up to Q&A very soon, so if you do have any questions, please go ahead and line up next to, she's waving over there. So you can line up, nobody gets up, they're like, okay. All right, so Phil, I'm gonna ask you, so we don't make Troy go first again. Which character challenged you the most and why?
Well, it's funny because Ratbag was the first time I had to do motion capture. And so there was a physical element to it that I'd never dealt with before in a video game. But I have to say it was Vamp, just because the voice that we decided on was basically like, I was trying to come up with a voice that sounded like, okay, what would someone sound like talking if they didn't have to breathe? So it was like,
how do you talk with as little air as possible?
And it's always got to be that creepiness, but that sexiness, but no air. And also just finding and holding on to that character, that to me was the most challenging.
Tom?
I'd have to say doing the elite work on Halo 4 and 5. It was really physically demanding, not only just the fight stuff, but just walking around. We had to constantly be up on our toes, arching our shoulders forward, our lats are all spread out. Every week I did that. At the end of the week, it was chiropractor, massage, lots of ice.
Why are you on your toes?
They're like hooved creatures.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. So imagine running like that and fighting, all the sword fighting, and yeah.
Anytime when, usually there's one woman in the mocap medium, and you usually have 5 or 6 men. So anytime you're playing all the female characters of a single game, that's the most challenging and the most fun, because you have to figure out different physical characteristics for each character to make it unique so that they seem like individual characters.
Boobs.
So it's boobs. I mean, boob size is what changes, really. That's all part of my character work. So that's the most challenging for me, and especially if you've got a lot of characters that are maybe the same age range, or You just need to find different ways that they walk, different body parts that they lead with, different things that are affected by the character. And in a lot of ways, you're helped because if they've already recorded the voiceover and you have an amazing performance to build off of, and you can hear the way that they talk, you can think, okay, well, they're a little bit more airy with the way that they speak, so maybe they lead more with their head, or this person's definitely a lot more guttural and probably leads more with their vagina. So you just think that stuff out, you know.
I think probably the most difficult for me was when I had to do mocap for a woman. We were doing this game called Dragon's Dogma, and I was playing the lead character, doing mocap for it, and we'd been doing all these wonderful scenes. We'd done it before we put on the mocap suits, and I had all these romantic scenes with all the different women in the game, and then we put on our mocap suits, and they said, okay, but just so you know, there are times when you could be a woman, so we're gonna put breasts on you now.
Works for me.
Yeah, I was like, oh, well, are they gonna be shapely? And what they did is they basically took big cubes of foam about the size of a toaster, sort of shaved the corners off just a little bit, and then stuck 2 toasters on my chest. Nerds. And wanted me to, hello nurse, and wanted me to go and do this scene. Well, of course, we had been rehearsing these romantic scenes with these women, and I come up and I try to be all dashing, and they're like, you've got toasters on your chest, dude. I can't take this seriously. What are we doing right now? So I know. I was like, are they even making this big in Japan? I don't know. Like it was a little crazy, but
Now you know what it's like to be a woman.
yeah, with toasters.
Yeah.
You were so hot. Like after Double D, there's the toaster size, right? Okay, good. Yeah, that was challenging.
I'll take it over to the voiceover side. When you work in video games, you're going to be doing some amount of screaming. Normally, it's a small percentage. You'll have your scenes where you tell somebody that you love them, or you send quips along. Love you, dude. But I was in a game called Asura's Wrath, playing a character called Asura, who was the god of wrath, and it was just hours and hours and hours of screaming. And we're used to looking at Excel files everywhere we go, just rows and rows of lines, and we'll do our quiet dialogue, all the juicy stuff that we got into this business for, and then at the end we're like, all right, come on, we're gonna have you get poked with a stick and burned and electrocuted and all that. And I got in for day 1 of this job, and the Excel was up on the screen, and it just said scream, 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 and I deadpanned it for a second, went, aha. But we'll do the dialogue first, right? We'll do the battle stuff afterwards, and said, those are your cutscenes. And it was just, the whole thing was this guy going for hours and hours. And that's a big part of this business too. It's not the flashiest part, but a lot of what we put into this is like conserving our voice, figuring out how to safely sound like we're getting blowed up by a grenade on a weekly basis. So, bleh.
Liam and I actually went to do some voices on The Pacific, the HBO series where all the Marines are getting shot on the beaches of the islands and whatnot. And it was the 2 of us and some guy who was new, and we watched this guy blow out his voice getting shot on the beaches in World War II in like 10 seconds. He was dead. He was gone. And Liam and I had to pace ourselves. We could only go for I could go about 90 seconds, and then it was like, take a break, relax, jump back in. But this guy was done. In 10 to 15 seconds, he was done, and his voice was gone for the rest of the day.
Oh, man.
Crispin lasts 90 seconds. We now know that.
Yep. then I can go again.
Really short refractory, but 90 seconds. Just quick
And
bursts.
again and again and again.
Quick bursts. I think everything's going to present its own challenge. Just like Liam said, sometimes you walk in, you're like, please don't let this be my work, to where you know you're just going to do permanent damage, or you have to wear toasters on your chest. And for me, it's as games get more and more cinematic and more narrative based, and really, really good writing and really good characters are starting to be written for games specifically, the challenge for an actor, I think, is to make it as relatable and believable as possible. We've kind of come out of this archetype mode, and now we're into a single dad and a 14-year-old girl. Those are now the heroes of our video games.
Is that the new Mario?
That is the new Mario. Which one is Wario, though?
I'm a divorce!
But to be able to find something that you can ground yourself into, to me, is always the biggest challenge, because otherwise you're just spitting out lines and walking around in a space, or just spitting out lines. So for me, it's always trying to find that one thing that unlocks. And as an example, for Joel in The Last of Us, there was something in the audition sites that said he has few moral lines left to cross. And to me, that was something that unlocked everything, at least for that moment, about Joel. And you just kind of build off of that. So it's always, to me, the challenge is to find that missing puzzle piece that unlocks that character for you.
You know, a lot of what you guys are talking about in character building, a lot of you guys hit on this. But it's something I kind of want to talk about a little bit more. We see a lot in movies and television these days that there's so much special effects that goes into the content that we consume. So as a performer in the video game industry, how different is it for you to perform? Do you think it's has any difference? Do you think it's the same as TV or movies? And this is open, so we don't have to pick one person.
Parts of it are exactly the same. Parts of it are extremely different. I mean, you know, Robert Downey Jr. never went into a box for an hour and yelled, "Ah!" That didn't happen. But there's things that this guy has done in a room that are the same things that happen on a film set. We're in a weird time right now, because for a long time, eat this was all we needed. That was all we needed. We had sort of like right-angled mannequins running around going, "Coming for you!" And that's what we wanted. That's all that was the highest level of performance we could deliver. And now we're at this point where the technology is moving so fast that we're coming in with a microscope or a magnifying glass and getting that much closer to the performer behind the polygon. So everything is in a state of flux right now and changing.
It seems that so many of you are doing voiceover and mocap and stunts. Like, a lot of you guys do everything. And it's pretty incredible, to be honest. But I know some of you guys have some specific experiences with it.
Yeah, one of the things that makes it way different is when you get into a motion capture volume, whether it's full performance capture or just doing regular mocap without the face and the voice, you're the only ones out there. So it's not like you're going through this whole day where it's this scene over here with Robert Downey Jr., but the rest of the Avengers are doing this. No, you're usually, and a lot of times you're playing multiple characters. So you're in the volume the entire day, working out, doing anywhere from 300 to 700 different actions. And there's usually not makeup unless you're doing facial capture. So there's not a lot of time wasted on other stuff.
There's no relighting of cameras, there's no changing of wardrobe.
It's performance all day long. So you better be ready to go.
Yeah, it's incredibly concentrated. You know, you think, oh, it's a 4-hour voiceover session or a 4-hour mocap session, and you are busting your butt those entire 4 hours. It's not like being on set. In fact, when we were doing Dragon's Dogma, we filmed the whole thing as a 3-camera on-camera thing before we did the mocap.
Wow.
The on-camera part of it took 3 times as long as the mocap part. But the mocap part took just as much energy. It was just concentrated in this really intense shot. So that can be challenging. The other thing that's challenging is that many times video games are non-linear, right?
Yeah.
If it's a sandbox and we're going in different directions. This is a completely new art form. We've never had an art form like this, and developers are still trying to figure out, you know, what are the rules of non-linear storytelling? What works best? I was working on a show where they had me do this performance, and they thought, oh, that's really good. But that performance, which is based on these specific choices, the player may have made different choices. So we can't use that because that performance is too specific. You have to generic it down a little bit so that we can have more branching options. And
Everything has to stitch together with everything.
And it's like, you think that's hard enough for a 2-hour movie. Try it for a game that has 80 plus hours of gameplay and 4,000 plus lines of dialogue, right? The complication and sophistication of this just grows exponentially.
And it's all in your mind, too. I mean, whether you're in the box or on the stage, that you don't have the sets and the wardrobe and all that other stuff to kind of get you into the mind of it. So it's all in your mind. And so having to keep track of all these different variations of the character and all the story points and keeping it real and organic and believable, because our audience is a lot more sophisticated than it's ever been. There are people who know what mocap. I used to have to explain what motion capture is. I don't have to explain that anymore. You guys know. And so the developers and the performances need to stay ahead of that or at least keep up with you guys. So the performances that go into it are sometimes so much more in depth because it's all just in your head, which is so much more fun sometimes, but it's also that much more of a challenge.
Awesome, cool. Well, I see that we've got a bunch of fans lined up, and I think we want to open it up to the fans right now. And if there's any of you guys in the audience that want to join the conversation, you can also go onto Twitter and use the hashtag performancematters, and everyone can look on there and communicate with you and answer your questions on there as well, especially if we don't get to everyone, or if you have follow-up questions for them as well. So let's take our first Q&A.
My question is for Troy Baker. So we can all agree that Mark Hamill does a really good Joker in Arkham Asylum and Arkham
I disagree. Sorry.
So what was like your reaction when they gave you the part for the Joker in Arkham Origins?
I was expecting to get fired every time I walked in the door. I kid you not. I was like, this is just glorified scratch track. I'm happy to be doing it because it's fun. But I mean, Mark is and always will be my Joker. And just as Kevin is like you said, Kevin Conroy is just like that. He did the best Bruce Wayne and Batman, and that's the real challenge. So for me, there's a lot of fear that goes into it, a lot of insecurity. But I was thrilled. That's one of the biggest feathers in my cap is that I got to play the Joker. There's been more people that have walked on the moon that have played that role. So seriously, to be counted among them is incredible. I was lucky that I got to point towards something that was near and dear to my heart. I think if somebody asked me to come up with something different, I could have choked very easily. But it's to me, the Joker or whatever role that you have, you literally have to be able to be ready to just show your ass to the world. Because you probably will. You'll probably make a fool out of yourself, but that's a lot of times when we get really good performances. So I just try to be as fearless as I can and get over myself. You know what I mean? Cool. Thank you, dude.
Good question, thank you. Next up.
Okay, I was wondering if there was any parts that any of you guys really wanted but just failed somehow, and just if you could go back, the favorite part that you wanted to get but you just couldn't get somehow.
That's far too painful to answer, and I will not answer it. I always wanted to play, it's not a video game, but I love Akira, and I came to Los Angeles a year-ish after they dubbed it again, and I would have murdered anybody to play Tetsuo in that, and just was too late to the game.
It's a hard question to answer for sure, because a lot of our friends in this industry play those characters. So it's hard, but there are obviously dream characters.
And also, for your own psychological health and well-being, if you spend your time agonizing over the characters you didn't book, you are blocking yourself from booking the characters that are coming down the pike.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's far better to do your best and let it go, because then the part that is just right for you will show up. I mean, that was the case for me on like Naruto. When we were working on the animated series Naruto, 80 episodes had gone by and I'd played one little character, but I hadn't played a big character yet. And that was because the perfect one was coming down the pike. And when it showed up, it was like, of course, that's what I've been waiting 80 episodes for. I play Itachi, that's who I am, you know? So I think from a creative standpoint, we can't think of it that way or we will drive ourselves insane.
Thank you for your question, that was great.
Insane-er.
Hi guys. Can you hear me? Oh yeah. All right. So like I've been working in the games industry for about a year, but it was only a couple weeks ago that I had the realization that this is like my career. Did you guys ever have a project where beforehand you were like, man, one of these days they're going to realize I'm not good at this, and then that project sort of taught you like, wow, I can actually do this for a living?
Good question.
I think when I first started trying to do voice acting, I was in New York City. I was working as a theater actor, and I'd always been a fan of Japanese animation, and I hooked up with some of my other theater friends who were working on dubbing some Japanese animation in New York, and they brought me in, and I auditioned for this show, and somehow I booked a character on it. And I was trying my best, and it was awkward. Like, my voice was coming out of this character, and it felt weird. And then there was one scene where I had a battle scene. It was like this spell-casting battle scene, and I tried it, and it came out sort of limpid. It was just not there. And I begged the engineer, can we try it again? Like the director went on a break and I was like, can we just do it again? The engineer was like, fine. And we did it again. And I came back and watched him with it and he goes, yeah, That's it. That's how it's supposed to be. And that's when it clicked for me. I was like, yep, this is me. This is what I do. I figured this out. It took me a couple hours, but now I get it. And from then on, it was sort of off to the races.
That's a really cool realization, man. And I think we've all had that. I remember when I had it. And what's interesting is that the job doesn't change. You still have the same job. It's just now your perspective on it has changed. And I think what happens is we start removing some of those layers of insecurity and ego. And once those things start stripping away, we realize that we're actually standing on pretty solid ground. So, how old are you? Jeez, man, you're way ahead of the game. I mean, like, we're looking at 40. So that's for us to just now have that, and for you to have that, dude. Pat yourself on the back. That's a really good realization to have. And you're the kind of person I want to see make games. So thank you for being in the business.
Thank you.
Okay.
Relax, you can do it.
Okay. Sorry, really excited.
Me too.
Troy, Liam, Crispin, Phil, big fans, have been for a long time. This question's directed at you, Troy. I know you've been in a lot of games, and I know you're going to be in a lot of games, years to come. Have you? This is kind of a two-parter. Have you played a lot of the games that you've been in? And has there ever been like a moment where you're going back and you're looking at the characters that you voiced, and you've either gone, "Wow, like I was really bad in that game," or it felt like heartbreaking because, like, for Last of Us. That game is the only other game that's brought me to tears. So I'm like, have you had that moment like in Last of Us or any other game where you feel like you've had like this weird emotional thing?
I think, first of all, yeah, I'm a hardcore gamer, have been. I was a gamer before I was anything. And I think I'm on my 10th console. So I've been with this for a while. And I think one thing that happens is because we play games, and I think everybody up here is a gamer, that gives you a little bit of insight into what you're doing. You have a little bit more of a shorthand when you're making games, and I think all of us want to do the same thing, which is we just want to make a game that we want to play. And when we're making a game, that's our mindset. It's like, and sometimes we run into obstacles, and we're like, no, this is the part where I can control it now. Please not do this. And it's cool because in the game space, I don't see it in TV, I don't see it in film. We actually have influence. They'll listen to us because they respect us and because they know that our hearts are in the right place where we just want to make the kind of game that we all want to play. But I think if I do my job, then I forget that it's me. And I just want the character to, in a music term, I just wanted to sit in the mix. I wanted to just be there, not stand out. And I think that if I start going, oh, I should have done this better, then that's the ego talking. And I'm starting to pull myself out and make a game about me, and it's not. It's about the experience. That's part one. What's part two?
Although I was just wondering, have you ever had a game where you look at it and you're like, I wish I had done that better? Like,
Yeah, most of them you do, but that's all ego. Because what that means is that what my perspective is more important than the people that are actually making the game. And whenever you see a game, whenever you're sitting down and controllers in hand, loading screen is up, hundreds of people gave their lives for that. So I know that it's easy to criticize, and it's easy to give it just an 84 Metacritic or a 79 Metacritic. But you have to understand that people are giving hours upon days upon weeks, upon years, to put that thing in your hands. And if I go, I could have done better. They're like, well, screw you, man, we thought it was really good. So, again, I think that's one thing about stripping the ego away. But those are the moments that I strive to make. Those are the moments that I strive to experience as a gamer. I want something to pull me in so much that I go, oh, I don't know, I don't understand how I'm feeling this way. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Great questions.
But before the next question, just off your first answer, one thing that I think is really great about the moment in time we're at right now with performance in video games. Well, I've been doing this for like 12 or 15 years, and when I first got in and first started getting video game work, no one was a gamer really. The actors weren't gamers. There was a time when the developers were there trying to, when performance was held back because the technology wasn't advanced as it is now, and their talent, all 95% of the time, weren't gamers. They didn't know what this stuff was, where it was going. They were actors who were trying to be on stage or trying to be on camera, and you'd have this, yeah, you're gonna be, there was like a communication problem. Fast forward to now, I mean, this guy's, arguably at the top of the pyramid, and he grew up playing games, he loves games. Same for me, and we'll just have actors and directors and devs in the room going, oh yeah, so he's gonna jump, what is this, a fetch quest? Yeah, come with fetch quest. He's gonna go, we are steeped in it. And so that barrier for communication is virtually gone. I mean, not every actor, but most of us, it's a great time.
Awesome. Next question.
All right, so
Is it good?
I hope so. I think it's good.
I love it already.
Great. So we talked a little bit about like the non-linearity of video games and how that's developing recently. So I've been playing a lot of Tales from the Borderlands recently. And so, thank you. So Troy Baker specifically, you talked earlier about how the narrative, how you, with these more narrative-driven games, found the aspect of Joel that really spoke to you and sort of unlocked his character. And I think Tales from the Borderlands is probably the most logic I've ever seen going into a game's story, and you can really play Reese in quite a number of ways. And I wondered, but even still, whenever I've played multiple variations of him, and I feel like his character really shows through in each way. Like even if I play him as a nice guy or a total jerk, either way I can see that character coming through. And so I was wondering how you did that.
You have a really strong team that's behind you, and there's no one-man team on any game. You really have to trust your writers, your directors, your fellow actors. It really, really helps when you're working with people that you know. Like, I know Laura Bailey in and out. I know typically where she's going to land on something, so that helps us to feed off each other really well. And then Phil, so I can understand what Phil's going to bring to a character. Warburton is just, I don't know, he's a wild card. But I think Tales from the Borderlands for me is one of the coolest shows that I'm watching right now. Does that make sense? That I get to interact with, because there was one, I play it on my iPad, and really, really weird, but I like to do that because I'm on a plane and I can't tote around my Xbox or my PS4, so I'll throw that on my iPad and I'm off the races. But I think one thing that Telltale does really, really well is provide agency for you as a player to experiencing it in multiple ways. At the end of episode 4, I literally went, oh no, because I wasn't sure if I made the right choice. And I wanted to go back and replay it all the way through because I felt regret over my decision. I think it's incredibly impactful that games can do that. And when you're watching a show, or you're watching a film, or even if you're reading a book, it's all passive, it's all observational. There's no agency that you have. And I think that's one thing that games really does for us is there's not a lot of books, there's some shows and some TV or movies where I'll go back and rewatch. But not like I do with games where I want to go back in. I played The Last of Us, I don't know how many times, just because I want to I took my time going through. And it's a really interesting landscape that gamers or that developers provide us is a playground to play inside of that we can actually affect. So yeah, really, really good. But I trust my team, and we go, you're a nice guy, you're a jerk. And that's the main thing they told me about Reese is, don't be a dick. So, it's really good direction. So, that was a great question too.
Thank you.
No, just that on Borderlands in particular, it's the writing. It's
so
good writing, good directing, which gives you as an actor a safety net. Right. It's like, all right, I'm gonna make a choice. A lot of times in video games, when it's less directed, and like you were talking about before, you have to make a bland choice so that they can. It's like those are not the ones that are well written. Right? That's like, well, we don't know what we're gonna do, but figure it out for it. Just do less so we can go this way or that way. In Borderlands, they're making a choice. We're gonna go this way, which in effect limits you as a player, but the wonder of it is they don't make you feel limited. Games have always been about an emotional experience. You're playing Doom,
right?
In 8 pixels. Like something's coming to get you. You've got to kill it. That's an emotion. It's just that now the emotional levels that we're working on are so much more complex. And that's why you need actors like Troy, who can make it come to life on those multiple levels, yet be flexible enough to keep it interactive. You know, he cannot just, you know, go Pacino on it and make, this is my choice, this is what I'm gonna do. You know?
I will say this though, just to give you a little thing. Episode 4, very beginning, Reese comes back into the caravan and he starts laying out the plan, and he has that burp right in the middle of it. He goes right on his breakfast. Total fluke. Legitimate burp. And the reason why I say that is because there's no brilliance that I do in that. It's just simply the writers and the team going, oh, we gotta use that. And they wrote lines around it to support the fact that Reese just burps in the middle of the scene. So these are the games that we like to play, is when people are like, let's do this together.
Thank you. All right, next question.
Glad to see Sam's on represented. But my question is to all of you guys, has there ever been a character where you weren't able to find the voice? And what have you done? Or thought that someone else would do better?
You will never know.
Or thought that someone else had was better for that part?
I don't think you're anybody until you've been replaced, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They go, oh, you're fired. Somebody else would have done it.
How about hearing from the motion capture?
The torturous thing that happened to me was on Diablo 3. They cast me in Diablo 3, and I came in and I did the part, but they weren't quite sure what they wanted for the accent, and I did the British one, which I got cast with, and they said we can't make him British, we want him European, so I did really good Eastern European accents. They know we've already got a Russian character, can't go there. And then I started to go French, we can't do French. I'm like somewhere in the Alsace-Lorraine trying to find an accent. And after 2 hours of this, you know, and it was only a 2-hour session, I said, guys, why can't he be British? He's a wizard, it's fantasy world, you know, it's standard. Lord of the Rings world, it's sort of British. Well, he's Asian, but he was raised in the Middle East. And I'm like, so you want him to sound like the Dalai Lama? Like, I don't know what that means, right? And after that 2-hour session, I thought I'm fired. I'm fired. They're gonna find an Asian guy, and you know, that's I'm done, right? A year later, they call me back for another 2-hour session. A year later, right? And again, we go through like now we're doing like Omar Sharif Arabic accents. And I'm doing like the Epcot World Tour of accents. And after 2 hours, I don't hear from them again. And I'm like, I'm fired, it's done. A year later, they call me back again, and I say, wait a minute! What is going on here?
Break up with me!
Yeah. Am I fired or not? And they said, oh, no. And I said, well, what have we been doing? He said, these have just been demos for BlizzCon. The real game is coming next spring. You're going to have 4,000 lines of dialogue. Don't worry, we're not firing you.
Car into bridge abatement.
And so, you know, and that whole time I thought, no, I'm done. It's over. They're going to replace me with somebody else. And invariably, the accent is me with a little bit of sort of mid-Atlantic coloring. So, you know, you never know. I've been replaced. I've replaced other people. And a lot of times, it's just they're trying to figure out where things need to be, and you just have to try to do your best and trust that it'll all come out in the wash.
I'm kind of curious just to kind of extrapolate on that question to the stunt performers and motion capture. When there is a move that you're looking at, or if you get injured, something like that, how do you handle that yourself? Have you been through it?
If you get injured,
Like while you're doing it, or if there's a move that you can't particularly do, a fighting style that you can't do?
Well, the one thing that I have noticed sometimes is that animators are brilliant, but sometimes they haven't been spending a lot of time with other human beings. So they'll come into a mocap session and be like, all right, I just need you to leap from there to there, scale the wall, do a flip, and then go into a split. And I'll say, oh, okay, because I can't. I would love to do that for you. I can't. If you can get a wire rigger in here, and that's not a problem. That's something we can do. No problem. Oh no, we need to do that right now. Can we do? No, it's actually not physically.
Physics. We will not allow this to happen.
So sometimes I think sometimes they have these incredible imaginations, and then when it comes to the actual practicality of it, you have to all of them work together to figure that out. So that's always been the challenge when they have these incredible ideas, and we need to figure out how to do it, and we have to figure it out right now. if there hasn't been planning ahead of time. That's where having someone like Thom is amazing, because he'll sit down with them ahead of time and say, oh, they're actually not inhuman, even though they're playing one. So we need to find ways of augmenting that. And that becomes
But they're aliens. But they're aliens.
But they're aliens.
Why can't they just fly?
I've also been in situations where I had to die a bunch of times, and they'll need like a bigger reaction or something from us, and so there'll be a huge guy about Thom's size with a huge like pad that's ramming into us for the reaction, and they'll say, okay, we need her to...
So much fun.
Yeah, it's last, guys. And they'll be like, we need a bigger reaction, so you step back further to the big guy with the pad, and we're going to stand there, and he's going to hit you as hard as he possibly can. And I'll say, or you do exactly what you've been doing, and I'll just react bigger. We could do that. You want to try
No, I
that?
think he needs to hit you harder.
No, I'd rather just hit you harder. I mean, like, I don't think
And
that's
then
going to work.
shoot you, and then
Then
becomes a
I spray
catharsis
you,
for
and
them.
then- yeah. So it's just working that kind of stuff out, and them learning, like, letting us do what we do, and showing them that we can make what they have in their amazing mind come to fruition as long as we have that dialogue. So that for me has been the challenge, is bridging that gap.
I'll tell a quick story about one of my favorite people to make fun of, Travis Willingham. So several years ago, he was actually working for my wife on Thor, doing some frost-shot stuff. In the first movie, he did an amazing job, really good performance, and we beat the tar out of him. Doing a lot of the stuff America's talking about, with the kept pad, running in, nailing him, knocking him down, a lot of big reactions. He calls me that night, and he's like, Thom, my neck hurts so bad. I can't feel my back. Lots of ice, ibuprofen, see you tomorrow. Okay, thanks.
I'll tell a story about Thom real quick. So Thom and I worked several times together. The thing that I love about him is that he always wants to make you look good. And he's put weapons in my hands that I was like, what pointing it do I go into this? And he was making me look like a badass. And there's this really cool love that he has for it, because he also understands, because he's done this so much, and he also is a gamer, that he understands what the end result needs to look like, and he's got this teaching spirit that walks people through. And you can think Tom Cruise is crazy, but every actor is the same way. Everybody wants to do their own stunts. Everybody wants to do their own stunts, and they're always terrible at it. Trust me, because I am. And it's good because games are getting more cinematic. There's more of a need for not just these big epic set pieces, but for there to be your character that's actually doing some really cool action stuff. And so we've had to get to the point where we get stunt doubles. And the stunt double that I have on something literally spent the whole morning just watching me get coffee, watching me move, watching me do a scene or whatever, so that he could literally just kind of mimic whatever I'm doing. But there's one scene that we did where Thom kind of finished this huge epic battle thing, and Thom just kind of gets up and walks over to the guy and goes, just rib popped out. Can you just put? I was like, did you say your rib popped out? Yeah, rib popped out. And the guy goes, like Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon, just goes, So understand that while yes, we do have amazing animators that really bring these set pieces to life, there's some foundation of somebody that is getting their ass handed to them on a stage to bring that scene to life, and I've watched it happen.
All right, we only have about 5 minutes left. I told you an hour goes by real quick when we're in a panel like this. So if we got some quick questions and quick answers, we can get through the last of you guys, and we have a little announcement right after that.
Hi, it's a question for all you guys. I know a lot of you do traditional animation and video game voice work. Do you guys have like a different mentality when going into either type of job, or like which do you prefer to work with, and like what's your attitude for each one? Like, do you take it differently whenever you perform?
Well, I mean, I would say that essentially, because having worked on camera, on stage, motion capture, voiceover, in video games and TV animation, the essential job is the same. To take an imaginary circumstance and make it real for the audience. You know? The technical aspect of it changes. On stage, you always got to face forward. You know, on voiceover, you always got to face the mic, You know, motion capture, you have to imagine the circumstances all around you. But at its core, it's all the same thing. You know, and then there's the subtle differences. And as far as preference, I prefer stuff that's good. Regardless of genre.
Thank you. Let's go on to the next one.
Hi. So I just want to say thank you guys for all your hard work with everything that you do. It's really great. Is there anything that's coming up that you guys are either really excited to play or really excited to be in?
Overwatch. Have I said about Overwatch yet? I am really excited for Halo 5 to come out. I think he's bigger than you. I will throw her at you.
I want to play Fallout 4 to the detriment of my own health.
Were those your posters?
We could get 3 more questions in. Anybody know?
I think we get one more.
Hi, how's it going? This question is for Phil. Big fan, Phil. I grew up. You were like every voice in my childhood. Like, yeah, I'm 17 years old. I'm 17.
Thank you for only watching the good stuff.
Yeah, I'm 17 years old, and I mean, the list is endless. I mean, like on IMDb, your credits are like 330 something. Like, it's amazing. And
Very old.
you look great. I mean, like, it's just not the video games. It's the TV, like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. There's Static. Yeah, sorry. Static Shock and Pulp Fiction, all that's great stuff. And I was just wondering, I'm an aspiring actor, and thank you. And I was just wondering, do you have any advice for a guy like me going out on auditions and what to do in front of casting directors and stuff like that?
Don't touch that. Keep it imaginary, man. Keep it imaginary. Just do as much acting as you can. Grow your skill. Don't ever think you're the best you can be. Just remember, it's always about learning and getting better. Every day, every job.
Thank you so much.
If I can do a quick shameless plug, I did a quite lengthy interview with Phil on my podcast called the Voice Acting Mastery Podcast, and Phil really went deep into everything. It's one of my favorite interviews I've ever done. So if you want to check out Phil's advice in detail, go check out the Voice Acting Mastery Podcast and check out his stuff.
I think a lot of people can go ahead and download that. I know that we do have 2 more questions, but we are unfortunately out of time. We have one more. We'll take one more. We're going to do one more, okay? All right, one more. You're the last one.
That was very nice of you.
Yeah, thank you. So what do you guys think of like where the medium's gonna go in the future?
Quick answer.
Quick answers, guys. Real quick.
Well, when the apocalypse comes, all the video games will burn. We're all going to go into outer space.
Holiday.
I think they're going more towards movies, and I think movies are going more towards video games. I think they're focusing more on story, more on performance, more on the way it looks and engaging the fans, because like I said, the fans are getting smarter and smarter. So I think that's where they're headed. I don't know if that was the exact question you were asking, but...
Yeah, I mean, they're getting much more cinematic, and we're getting scripts that are this thick for video games instead of just tiny little breakdowns, and then they're putting 2.5 to 3 hour long movies online of all the cutscenes. I mean, it's obvious that it's going more dramatic and really trying to immerse you into the video game world as a combination of like a movie and game now.
I'll say this for I think that we've seen, from the studio standpoint, they've become more and more, they have more of an ear to us as gamers. And I think there's never been more of a time that developers have been so sensitive to the opinions and the desires and the needs of gamers. So where is it going? I think the people that are in this room are going to be part of that decision as far as where it goes, because I think that people like us here, or us gamers, are actually leading the way as far as where the next games are going to go.
Thank you, Wilson.
Great question. Thank you so much. It was great to get that panel. I want to thank all of our panelists for being here today and talk to us about how to create a character. If you guys want to join the conversation on social media, please go ahead and do so by using the hashtag performancematters. We're also going to be doing a little video and a signing. So there's, whoa, hey, Mike. He likes me. We're going to be doing an autograph signing with everybody, I believe downstairs. Is that correct?
I think we're on the main floor down the autograph alley in the center. Yeah.
So we'll be there, and we're also going to have a little thing set up for each one of you guys if you want to come up and give a love letter to the people who play these characters, and just talk about, even if the voiceover actor isn't on this panel, to tell us, how much you really love that performance and how it impacted you. Because I know for myself, I have cried in a lot of games. So thank you guys, everybody. Thank you, panelists, and have a great Comic Con, guys. Thanks for coming.
Hey guys, I'm Michelle Morrow, and we're here at Long Beach Comic Con, and we're about to talk to some of the fans about their favorite characters in video games.
All right, my message is to Joel. Thank you so much for exposing me to what games could be in terms of cinematics. And thank you for being the second game that I've ever played that's ever made me cry consistently. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you exist.
Hi Delson, it's Brian. I just wanted to say I'm a huge fan of your art. Hey Joel, you're a dirty dog and you get stuff done. And I never want to get on your bad side, but I'm down to help you get to where you need to go. You the man.
Troy Baker, thanks again for all your work with the Atlas games. Totally love all your work with Kanji and Travis. It was awesome.
Video games are capable of telling good stories. It's not all like shoot-ups and get high scores. It's telling real human stories.
Just gotta say, thanks for all the hard work, throwing your voices for us, making the show more than a show, making it a performance, and for the mocap actors, sorry you guys break your bones and all that, but we appreciate it.
Hi, Troy Baker. My name's Evan Smith. I think your work in Arkham Origins is like the perfect example of a voice match, but retaining like your own character and your own interpretation. Like I think everybody in the cast seriously just knocked it out of the park. But you guys like made it like that is the younger version of those characters for sure. Like it was just incredible. Thank you for the work you do. You definitely bridged the gap between what is video game acting or what people think that is and what, like, it's all the same to me. So thanks for just doing what you do.
Keep up the art, man. It's amazing.